Hi guys, I'm Yinky. Welcome to another tutorial. Today's tutorial shall be an answer to someone's video request, which is after fixing the e-pads, how do I turn with lining? How do I make my inside as neat as the outside? So I'll be doing this tutorial based on that request. So this is the inside of the dress after turning with the lining. The e-pad is inside this dress already, and so this is what I have before turning with the lining. You can see all the sewing allowances are shown. You can see the side seam, you can see the waistline, you can see the seam allowance, you can see the seam allowance of the zipper, you can see that of the zipper allowance also. So you can see that the sewing allowance is obvious. So I have the first one I have is that when you want to make a pad on a lace fabric, you must first of all have the interlining, the lining that is supposed to be on the main fabric, so that the lace will conceal the whatever you want to put. Either you want to put a hip pad or anything you want to put. So after that, you're going to mark from your zipper end to the above knee. So that is what I'm trying to do. That what is the measurement between the zipper end, where the zipper ends, and the above knee. So I'll be using the picture here to analyze what we want to do. Starting from the waist to the zipper end, I will measure it. I'm going to measure it. You can see it in the picture. So from the waist, the zipper allowance of the waist to where the zipper ends, I have 12 inches. So I just wrote 12 inches. And also from where the zipper ends to the above knee, I have 10 inches. So I'm going to write 10 inches therein. So after I've written that, I know the measurement now, I know what to work with. So let's go. So the next thing to do now is to consider that 10 inches where the zipper ends to the above knee on our lining, because that is where we will close. I'm going to first of all stitch it using the zipper allowance to stitch that part. So I will mark that part now on the lining. This is the lining. I have cut the lining, I have input the dart on the lining, like the way you just did the skirt. That's the way you're going to do for the lining. The major fabric, whatever you do to the major fabric is what you do to the lining. So the skirt, the lining is now, just take the measurement you have in the picture. From the waistline to where the zipper ends, I've taken it. I added 1 inch because of the zipper allowance and the ease. So I have 13. As you can see, I have 13 here. And also from where the zipper ends to the above knee, I'm going to put 10 inches. So I'm going to input that 10 inches right away. So when you look at this skirt, the skirt does not have a tail like the main fabric, like the main skirt. It does not have a tail. It only is, I only cut it the hairline skirt. I didn't insert a tail in this lining. So that means you can use this method for a straight gown also. This method is applicable to a straight gown. So this part I'm marking is just where the slit will end. If you are using a straight, if you want to use this method for a straight gown, so it's just from where the zipper ends to where the slit stops. So that's where I'm just marking. So I'm going to close that place that I just chopped, where the zipper ends to where the slit stops. So I have closed it. So you can use your pin to first of all close it, or you use a straight stitch to do that. So after that, I use a pin to close the other part also, because I want to input measurement right now on the lining. So I needed to close everything. So I use pin to close up the rest of the part that are opened. So right now I'm going to bring the front. I'll place the front on the back skirt panel. This is the lining. So I'm going to input the measurement. So this particular place, you will input the hip measurement, and also on the half length you will input the actual measurement that you're supposed to input at the half length. So on the waist, I'm going to input the waist measurement of this my client, and also on the hip I will input the increased hip measurement. Increased hip measurement will be placed here because it has a hip pad. So also on the half length, I'm going to reduce that measurement on the hip by 2 inches. I'll go inward by 2 inches so that it will fit on that part before I bring out my hand to make that A line shape on the skirt. So after I have done that, the next thing to do right now is to go and stitch with a straight stitch. So I will use a straight stitch to close that part. Then I have done it. As you can see, I have done that. Then this is how the lining will be. The part from the waist to the zipper end is opened, and the rest of the part also from the above knee to the hemline is also opened. So this is the right side of the skirt. So just go ahead with me the way I will turn with the lining, using the right side of the lining. The right side of the lining will be facing this part like so. So I'm going to take my pin and pin it down first before I go to my sewing machine. So I'll first of all pin it down. So you just hold this. The right side of the lining is facing the sewing allowance of the waistline like so. So I'll pin it out. You can see the zipper allowance has been removed. So I took out the zipper allowance by 1 inch before pinning down, because I'm going to use that zipper allowance to conceal the zipper allowance part later on during our sewing process. So I'll just pin it down like so till I get to the other side. So I'll pin the lining to the sewing allowance like so. Following the sewing allowance of ½ inch, I'll just pin it down like so, round like that. So after I have pinned it down, that is when I can now go to my sewing machine and run a straight stitch on it. So this is what we have. After pinning it down, this is what we have. This is what we have. So we can go ahead now to the sewing machine and run a straight stitch here. So you can see the pin. It's the only pin that I use here. I have not stitched it. So I'll go ahead to my sewing machine now and stitch it. So I'll start from the zipper allowance. So I'm going to start from where I started pinning. So that's where I will be starting. So you can do it anyhow it pleases you or anyhow it's convenient. So just make sure you follow the sewing allowance to stitch the lining to the waistline. So I'll just go ahead and do that. So I'll just fast forward this part so that we'll finish it on time. So after you have done that, the next thing that will be remaining for us is how to turn the zipper allowance. Because I brought out like 1 inch on both sides for the zipper allowance, because that is our zipper allowance that we added from the beginning on our lining. So I'm going to turn to the right side of the lining. So I'm trying to turn to the right side of the lining so that you will see what we have done, whether the work is neat or not. So I will turn to the right side of the lining to see what we have done so far. So this is what we have done. So the camera didn't do justice to this, but at least I believe you can still see it a little. And this is the front. You can see this is the front and this is the back. So what is left for us is the zipper allowance. So we are now going to turn the zipper allowance right now. So I will turn to the wrong side to be able to hold the zipper allowance, the right side of the lining facing the zipper allowance. So in order to be able to turn the zipper allowance part. So this is the way I'm going to hold it. You can see I'm using the right side of the lining to match this part. So I'm using it to match this part, and I'm going to stitch down to where the zipper ends. So I'm going to stitch it to where the zipper ends. So whatever I do to one side, I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side also. I'll repeat the same process for the other side also. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so before the end of this tutorial, because this is what encourages us to do more, to be able to answer to your request whenever you make a video request. So please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so before the end of this tutorial, as lots of amazing tutorials await you on this channel. So whatever I have done to one side of the zipper allowance, I will do to the other side in order to complete our sewing process. So I have done one side, so the second part is what I'm trying to do, using the right side of the lining to face the zipper allowance in order to conceal it and make the work neat. So I'll just stitch it from the waistline to the zipper end like so, and we are done. Then I'm going to turn to the right side of the lining. So I'll turn to the right side of the lining and I'll show you how it looks. After you are done with this process, this is when you can now say you want to bring in the hip pad. So you can't, if you fix the hip pad before doing this, it will be very, very difficult for you to turn with your lining. So it is when you are done with this part that you can say, so this part that is opened from the zipper ends to the skirt hemline, I'm trying to turn that part also. So this is applicable to straight skirt also. If it's a straight skirt, so you are going to use the same method, because this is the part that will be slitted. I hope you understand me. So you're going to use it to turn. Just bring it, follow what I'm doing on the dress. Just follow the process, then turn to the hemline of the skirt like so. Stitch to the hemline. Stitch to the hemline of the skirt like so. So I'm going to run a straight stitch down to the hemline on this part. Then on the other side also, we have two sides. On the other side also, whatever I do here is what I'm going to repeat on the other side also, to be able to complete it. So the reason why I use this method is so that if you're making a straight skirt, it is still the same way. You're going to open up this part I'm closing. This part that is being closed right now, it will now represent the part being slitted on your straight skirt. I hope you understand. So after you have done that, I repeat the same process for the other side also, and everywhere is concealed apart from the tail that I inserted like two tails. So apart from that part that I'm going to use an overlocking machine for, the other part has been turned with lining. And this is when the hip pad comes in. So I can now go ahead now and bring my hip pad and fix the hip pad right now. So I'm going to open up to the inside of the dress. So you can see I'm trying to show you the front and the back of the dress after we have turned it, and you can see it's very neat. So you can now, this is when you now open up to the wrong side of the dress. Then you're going to get your hip pad at this point in time, but you must make sure you arrange the dress very well, that it's not wrinkled. And now I can bring my hip pad and attach the hip pad. So after attaching the hip pad, then I will use the lining to cover up everything. So I will use the lining to cover up everything so that it will be concealed. It won't show outside. The lining will be covered. Then this is what we have. This is the result. So the hip pad is inside. No one will know that hip pad is inside.